You're good.
And we can hear
Okay.
and everything. Mine says we should.
We're good? Yep. Okay. Call the Vermillion County Council meeting to order for July 14th, 2025. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mr. Somerville. Ms. Brown. Here. Mrs. James, I'm present. Mrs. Furry. Here. Mr. Bose.
Here.
And Mr. Weir.
Here.
Thank you, everyone. All right, first up for tonight, we have the approval of minutes for the June 9th, 2025 meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, questions on that?
I don't know if I missed it or what, but there was a transfer for reporting only last month for the treasurer. It was for $172.50, and I didn't see it in the. I got it from the last meeting, the paper, but I didn't see that in the minutes. Maybe I missed it. Numbers or something for it. It was transferred from postage to dues and subscriptions. Somebody, did we do it or we didn't? Maybe we didn't. I didn't write anything on it. I notice I don't have a motion or a second, but I just had it in my packet. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, $172.50.
Okay, it's not written on. Let me see. There's my written copy. No, that one got pulled.
Oh, so we didn't. Okay.
Yep, I got an X through it. Yeah, it was in our packet, but then they didn't need it.
Okay.
Any other items? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion made to accept the minutes. I'll second the motion.
I have a motion for Mr. Weir, second for Mr. Costello to accept the meeting minutes from June 9th, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, take no. Minutes are approved. Next, we have the treasurer's monthly report. Any questions on that?
So let me say this. I did go to the treasurer's office, and I want everybody to know that the monthly reports have been accurate. There is line 37, when we are looking at the reconciliation of deposits, that should be an item that is subtracted instead of added. I was adding all those columns together, but that one is a negative. So the reports have been accurate, and they do balance. So,
Good.
Thank you.
educational moment for Mr. Rick.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. But it is a little confusing, especially back here. You kind of have to work backwards instead of forwards. So that's part of the issue. But anyway, they are accurate. My apologies to the Treasurer's Department.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
So I make a motion if we need to. I don't think we need to. But
No,
it's
we just usually
information
just
only.
accept that we have the report, so, but thank you. All right, if there's nothing further on that, we'll move on to the additional appropriations. We do have two this evening. Oh,
Or is it not?
it's farther down on the list.
Sorry.
It's okay. I know I saw it. The first additional appropriation this evening is in the county general fund. Comes from the county general. It is going into budget line item 1,000. It is for $25,000 to cover perf and payroll.
I'm supposed to direct you.
No,
Okay.
it's just, it goes with it.
Okay.
Well, just finalize it.
Yep, that'll be the end of that. The extra not needed.
I'll make a motion to approve it. I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion for Mr. Somerville, a second for Mr. Bose to approve the $25,000 additional appropriation for perf. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Additional is approved. And the second additional appropriation we have this evening is in the amount of $4,000. It is from the prosecutor for the pretrial diversion fund. He's asking to add it into his travel budget line item to cover the expenses from May through December. And he has the money in pretrial diversion to cover that.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Mr. Costello to approve the additional appropriation of $4,000 in pretrial diversion for travel. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. The appropriation is approved. Okay. That is the end of additionals. We do have some transfers. There is, let's see. So the first one's recorded, I'm gonna go to the second one. The second one requires a vote, we'll do that one first. There's a request for transfer of funds for the assessor. She is asking to transfer $5,000 from professional services into part-time help. So she can help keep her part-time assistant to transfer books. She said this was a college student who is available for the next month or so, and she would like to be able to keep her instead of using that money for professional services, use it for part-time.
This, mine's crossed out no. Does it mean anything? Should I say yes?
No, it should say no.
It's no.
It's a no.
It's,
Because it's from a 3 to a 1.
Okay.
it will require a vote tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, a second from Mr. Bose to approve the $5,000 transfer from professional services to part-time help for the assessor out of her Cume reassessment fund. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Transfer is approved. The next transfer is reporting only. It does not require a vote. Redevelopment from their allocation fund number 1 is asking to transfer $25,000 from capital outlays to professional services.
It should be a vote.
You're right, it should be.
It should be a vote.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay, let me mark that off. Yep. Good, good. Okay, this one will require a vote. They're needing to pay for architectural plans on the Ernie Pyle remodel for the daycare center.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion for Mr. Weir, second for Mrs. Furry, to approve the $25,000 transfer from capital outlays into professional services for redevelopment allocation fund number 1. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Transfer is approved. The next transfer is for the courthouse, and it is reporting only, this time for real. They're transferring $5,311.07 from janitor supplies to safety equipment to cover the expenses for the generator repairs and maintenance. Any questions on that one? Okay. Next transfer is E911. They are transferring $335.50 from training and conferences to radio upkeep to cover the cost of headset purchase and installation. Any questions? Okay, moving along. The next is a $5,000 transfer for the jail. It is going from cleaning and laundry to the water. They need additional funds to pay their water expenses. Questions?
It's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
Was there any increase in rates this year or anything for budget time last year?
He's under new business. Do you want to talk about the new business or?
Whatever you guys want to do. I think the rate's the same as last year. Our population is gradually inclining. So.
Okay. I know we had it, ended up adding more, I think, last year at the end. All right, we'll finish transfers and then he can talk about that one. The next transfer is for the total amount of $1,500. The highway department is asking, or is moving $500 from each district 1, 2, and 3 for a total of $1,500 to tree trimming. They had $2,000 total and only had $100 left for the rest of the year.
So is that labor or is that contractor?
I believe it's
Contracted.
contracted.
That's probably just to put a tree down on the ground and then they have to clean it up, because there's no way you're taking out.
I was gonna say, that's pretty cheap.
And in fact, $500 a district is probably like one tree a district, really. I mean, I'm sure they charge $300 or $400 just to cut one down.
Well, if you want, I can talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I didn't see you back there.
RJ Donovan, County Commissioner. Yeah, most tree trimming is really expensive, but we do have Simpson Property Services. Jeff Simpson, he cuts the county a really generous rate. We had a tree located by the Eugene Covered Bridge a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty close to the tree, and he quoted, I think, $600 or $700, and that was him cutting it down and removing the tree entirely. So he is we get multiple quotes, and he always comes in several $1,000s under, but yeah, we do use him, and because there's a lot of these trees you just can't cut down yourself in county right away. But for $1,500, if he does it, we might get 2 or 3 done. But yeah, if it's anybody else, you're only going to get maybe 1 tree. So
He does a good job too.
yeah, Jeff does really good work. I think the last one he cut, he actually done on. He might have done it on 4th of July. It might have been on Friday. I mean, he moved his schedule around and said he didn't want to see it fall on the covered bridge, so he really helped us out. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that one? All right, we'll move to the next one. The next transfer is, again, reporting only. It is redevelopment allocation fund number 2. They're moving $25,000 from lease to professional services. Any questions on that one? Okay. The next one is also redevelopment from allocation fund. This is number 1. They are moving $100,000 from lease to $100,000 to professional services. And the last transfer this evening is Commissioner's Court. They are transferring $7,390.20 from unsafe buildings into professional services. So,
One thing I'll just say is there's no signature for department head, so you might wanna get that signed.
RJ's here.
Come on up and sign that.
We need your autograph before you leave. No, just
Just kidding.
it's okay. Alright. Any questions on that one? That's the end of transfers. Next, we do have the comp time report, a quarterly one. Any questions, comments on that?
So this was everybody except what departments?
Sheriff's is next for this one. So you have the sheriff's.
I do.
Sheriff, oh, that's commissary.
Commissary.
No, I don't.
Sheriff doesn't have comp
That's what I was
time.
asking earlier, because it was a 2-page printout, and that was all it was. I just didn't see theirs, which are. don't know if
They
they're
get
not
paid
a-
out.
Sorry?
They get paid overtime.
Okay,
They're paid as,
I wasn't asking to see comp time. I was just counting, like, how many employees we
Oh.
had. I was just doing some math in my head here, and I didn't see them on here, and I thought, I missed it every time.
No.
This had one, Amy, there was an employee that paid out. What does that mean?
Was
I
that,
don't think I've ever seen that on here. Okay. Front page, middle.
can we add a line? Because like we have the total at the bottom, that would be like our liability if everyone has to be paid out. And I know we only budget so much per year. Is it possible to add a line that how much has been paid out up to that date? So that way we can see how much for the year we might look at for total comp time. Because like right now, I'm assuming we'd be under our budget for if we had to pay it all out, but if something's already been paid, yeah, if something's already been paid, it might have taken part of that balance already.
this is, get paid out of overtime, is that correct? The overtime line item?
Yeah, I guess,
Commissioner's Court.
because there's different, it's all out of Commissioner's Court.
Mhm.
Okay.
But you can get paid out for comp time
Yes,
at what point? I mean, you just, the employee decides?
well, the employee can ask for it, and then the department head can accept that at any time. In the handbook that way. And then the highway, it does have its own line item
Well,
for
I'm
overtime.
just asking, because for me, well, not for me,
Yeah.
but for others in other places, it's,
might
you
be
have to
needed.
choose overtime or comp time at that moment. And then they won't pay out comp time. Some, I guess everybody does it differently, perhaps, but I was just asking for that.
We might need 2 lines then, one for highway and then one for the Commissioner's Court overtime.
Is overtime, yeah.
Because they
Highway
get
does
paid out
that.
of different funds.
Yep.
So, education wise, at a certain point, whatever that balance is, once it above that threshold, do you automatically get paid comp time, or there should be a limit to how much you can carry over, so to speak? Is there?
There is a limit in the handbook.
Okay.
I know at one time it got increased to whatever the state was. RJ, do you know the current limit on that off the top of your head? I don't remember.
I thought
what-
it was 168, but I could be wrong.
168, 164 maybe.
Okay,
I know the highway has an unwritten, like, keep it down before winter time, but like right now, once paving's done, you'll see highway guys take 2 weeks, 2, 3 weeks at a time, just because We want them there for winter time, we want them there for paving, so in the fall is when they burn a lot of their time. I can't speak on behalf of the courthouse, so I don't. Out there,
I think that the health department would have to have a line
So-
item.
So if that, whatever that number is, we might have several that need to be paid out because they're over that amount. So, anyway, you guys might wanna look at that.
And the health department should have its own line item. You have an overtime line item? Thank you.
Okay, so it's 3.
Yeah, so it's 3, Misty. Anybody with a different fund? Anybody with a different fund, so the health department has a different fund, so that the overtime line item should match to the fund. Like health department's a different fund, highway's a different fund. If it's, but you can put all the general fund together.
Well, above that, there's 2 Amy Griffins. I mean, how come it shows 2 of them?
Because that's the only one that's been paid out this year.
Is it the 192 or the 370?
The 370 is the way I read it.
And she still has 192?
Yes.
Wow.
This is just second quarter only, right? Or total?
It's from the first of the year.
Yeah.
It's from it's usually progressive. It goes from the first of the year to the end of the second
Kind of
quarter.
a rolling 12-month?
Pardon me?
Is it a rolling 12-month?
Well, it's like
Well-
whatever their balance is at.
Yeah, I was just
At
asking to
this
see if
time.
this is specifically only second quarter
No.
or first and second. This is report is as of second quarter, so, okay.
And the increase or decrease is from the last time we got a report, correct? Yeah. So if you look to the right hand, you've got one that's got negative 10.75 at the very top. That person has taken 10.75 hours in the first 2 quarters since the first year.
Any other comments, questions? Next up on the agenda is the sheriff's commissary report. He provides us quarterly with that report. Any questions on that one? Okay. All right. We do not have any old business this evening, so we'll move along to the new business. First up, Sheriff Holtkamp is here for a water bill issue. Good evening.
Good evening. Like I said, our population, it's slowly climbed. This time last year, we were mid-70s probably, and we're low 90s, mid-90s now probably. You know, I think our last 3 months' bills were probably 3 of our highest ones, if I remember correctly. And we were only probably housing 7 or 8 of Vigos at that point. These are our inmates that are there, so. I don't know, I brought my maintenance guy in case you had any questions as far as, what, you know, like I told somebody downstairs, our relationship is like, I'm the guy that holds, the kid that holds the flashlight, and he tells me to like help him. I don't know, this is his area, so if there's any questions about how that goes, you know.
I would like to see some bills, because I recall when I was in the auditor's office, there were times they would change that rate throughout the
I
year.
think, I looked right before I come up, actually, it's about, I've actually got it right
It
here.
had, so it hasn't
It's
changed.
still, last year it was, what's getting us is the wastewater, you know, this, you know.
But they would raise the rates and not even tell us, or at least,
Like the
The
first one I'm
auditors.
looking at here is December of last year. The water bill itself was $1,500, but then we're like almost 4,000 in wastewater.
but what was the rate per,
Um,
Whatever.
25.6.
that's what
On
we
the
need to look
wastewater.
at. Because I know they did.
Yeah, and
that.
that's been consistent for the last year or so, I
Well,
believe.
that's good.
Don't you
Do
have
they-
room up there to put your own system in?
I take that back, I'm sorry. In February of last year, it was 19.24, so it did go up a little bit.
Do we not have a contract? Can we do something with that? Maybe
That I
RJ?
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if RJ would know that or not.
That agreement was handled by the previous administration, Commissioner Luther overseeing all that. I don't know, Dave, if there's any agreement with that, not saying that there should be, but
Yeah.
I can't, I mean, do you recall one, Brenda?
I don't.
Yeah,
That's
think
why
so.
I questioned it a couple years ago. I'm like, these rates are changing mid-year. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I,
I don't.
my water bill changes at home. I have somebody to talk to.
750 and 1950, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it shouldn't be looked at. That's just my
That's the
opinion.
wastewater.
I'm sure that's not
This
the
is just
whole
base.
Oh, that's
situation
the
here,
That's
but
base. They charge
I mean, they're not
flat base.
they're
This
not
is
like a
charge for
public
waste. This is
utility.
your
They
charge
are
for
considered
water.
public utility.
And they were saying this year all the way.
Oh, the
up.
base
Just
charge.
change the rates.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
the
that's base
regulatory
charge.
commission oversee
That's
their.
their, I think they're outside our,
Okay.
so they
but I'm
can't,
not sure.
so
So
they
the
can
base
change
charge
their
was
rate?
25.6.
Or no?
Yeah, I think they can.
But it's 19.
Unless we have some kind of contract or something. That's
I don't know if there's contract.
And it's the same.
I don't
I just didn't know if they had to require notice.
Because these are.
Usually you have, I mean,
Does the waste go to the rise?
provide
Yes.
notice and a hearing.
We have a month, they call it a muncher, that
We
Grinds
take the
there, a
solids
grinder of some
and gets
sort.
put into a dumpster.
And then it gets
the liquid
sent
gets
back.
through filters and it goes to the pumps and it's pumped across the street. Where
And then they treat it.
they treat it.
So have you ever looked at putting your own system in, Mike?
What's that?
Putting your own system in there to jail?
That would be his. Again, I'm the kid who holds the
All those
flashlight.
solids come out and it goes through a
Well, I know
grinder.
how it works. I'm saying, why not put in a system of your own right there on the north side of the jail?
A wastewater system or a water system?
Sewer system, of some sort. Yeah,
Or if
wastewater.
they have the room for that,
Oh,
I don't know what
yeah,
it would be.
plenty of room. It'd be a whole lot cheaper.
Be another study.
We moved money around, I believe, well, you guys just approved it or saw it, to pay this past water, to cover the water bill, and I don't believe there's enough money to cover the next one, is there, Misty? There's for the next month's water bill, there's nothing there to cover, is there? What we moved a couple weeks ago was to cover this month, yeah.
So we could put that down as a item to talk to the county
Yeah.
commissioners about. We need to talk about budget time, and we can explore that a little bit more later. But
Can we go through like the last year of bills and see what we have paid in wastewater? I mean, it's $4,000 a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think what Mike said too, remember consideration, Mike, what was your inmate total prior to the jail renovation? I mean, you were max, what, 72 inmates?
Before the construction project,
Before you're completed now, like you're
well, the year and a half up to that, we had probably 10 to 12, because we had to move everybody out.
so I just think we would look back at your budget and see what the budget is prior to
Yeah,
the
what should we
renovation.
increase
Because I
with
think when this $27 million renovation was done, but now we have 130 inmates, so if we up
We
that.
budgeted 23.
In
It's
terms
not
of
showing
the
it
budget
was
for water,
that we
it
did.
was-
And then we got up to 250.
There's last year's,
Okay.
I brought copies.
Was the previous jail connected to the same system or did it have its own?
Yes.
So it's the same system.
So,
They just put the auger system in and a new grinder.
But the previous, before the, I'm not, I guess I shouldn't say previous jail, it's previous jails here in Newport, but the prior iteration of the current building, that all went across.
That all went across the
highway
street
same,
and they used to take care of the solids.
And they always have.
They always have, but then they put the grinder in with the auger, so it puts it into the dumpster.
Right.
Tries to break down.
Where does that go? Is that?
It goes into a dumpster, then it's shipped off.
But I mean, the expense of that shipping, is that on the county?
It's on the trash.
then like RJ shared, if it was 70 and now it's 130, we've almost doubled it, so. Yeah,
so we
just have
had,
to look at the consumption.
okay, so in 23, our report shows that we spent
$23,371 total for the year of 2023.
Wow.
And so in '24, we had a budget of 23,000, because that's about what we spent.
But this report doesn't show any additional appropriations, and I do know we did.
Well, in
We did do
'23,
this.
we didn't start moving inmates back till,
But that 23 is probably higher than that because
Yeah.
this specific report doesn't show any
Yeah.
additionals that
So
we did,
once
and we
we-
did a lot of it.
Once we moved them back in, we did more
Yeah, we
additionals
did.
to cover that
So it
cost.
was more than that.
So for '25, we upped it $27,000. So for a total of 50,000 is what we've already basically gone through, plus
Right.
the 5 that we just did tonight,
yeah.
so.
But our population, like I said, in '23, I don't remember, I have to go back and look. But last year, this time, we were probably mid-low 70s. And we're into the low mid-90s now.
Is the wastewater based on water consumption only? It's just, they don't know other than.
They go by the gallons used.
Now, do you know that, it's probably a dumb question, but there's no, like, appurtenances or anything that are leaking, or like a valve or something?
No.
That's You got, okay, just to make sure.
Yes, we did have a little bit of a water softener issue, and they come in and rebuild it. But that was, let's see, May month, they finally got in, had a hole in the piston, and it was bypassing. So we used 266, I think it was, on that month. Yeah, this one here. And that's the one they fixed, they put the new pistons in and rebuilt the pump, or the water softener, so now it's working this way. Which, my reading now, I mean, we were down inmates, but in July, the reading I sent over to the RISE was 127 versus 266, so.
Do you have like some kind of is there a monitoring system to tell you gallons per minute? And
I have a meter there that I send her a picture of every month, Cindy across the street, so she can.
I didn't know if there was an instantaneous view, like you could say, right now we're using 250 gallons a minute, or 5 gallons a minute.
I can go and take a picture of it, or get the reading off of it, and then figure from what
Yeah,
we're
you
using.
could map, yeah, okay.
Did you say these are extra copies?
Yeah, those, you have those.
Do you have a report then that shows like your average monthly inmate total or anything?
I do for January to July. I had them look it up while we were here, so like January, we had 85 population. February, we had 94. We had 103 in March. April, we had 109. May, we had 108. June, we had 99. If you want these, there's a copy of the bills for this year.
Okay, that's a copy?
In my copy, yeah, you can have it.
Thank you.
But
So those are the averages for the month?
That is what our max was for the month for this year.
So was that every day they had that many, or just?
Usually, yes.
Okay.
It could, I mean,
It's
we may have a
basically
day
an
where
average.
6
It's an
people get
average.
released, and then we may have a day where 8 people come in. It just,
We'll have to look at that for
sure.
budgets here in another couple
Budget's
months.
around the corner.
I would recommend that they try to assume as best you can what you're gonna do and do one additional for the rest of the year. That would be my recommendation. So you're not coming in every month.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think you have enough in the other budgets to transfer.
I like it.
Okay.
Is there anything in DOC? Reimbursement?
There is something, I think.
It's the
I don't know if there's anything.
jail maintenance. I don't know what was in there.
Maintenance. I just was thinking out loud, but
We're
we
pulling
let
from.
that go. And I know the state was late in making payments for DOC reimbursement. but
What's that fund number? Do you remember? Oh, there it is. I don't know what they've used, but I know we budgeted 65,000 for the year. I don't know what's left in your budget.
We're probably halfway through
Okay.
it-ish. But I told it.
I don't know what the fund would be if you want, what the fund balance is
yeah,
to be able
The
to.
state was, I know, I haven't seen, unless you got the numbers right, so I didn't look.
So,
To do an additional from
because my note
this
says
particular
that
fund
we
rather than the
included,
general fund.
and that jail maintenance includes the septic that we'd had.
I thought we combined those, didn't we?
We moved the septic into the jail maintenance.
Yeah.
So is the water bill including the septic cost then? Are we paying it all? Should we be paying it out of both?
Good question.
Maybe that's why we're running short. Could
Well, we have a grease trap out there. It's Like a septic tank, we have it.
We gotta have the pump
Like
once a
every
month
That's
for
what-
everybody.
Okay, so not sewage.
So that
septic.
comes out of the DOC fund.
Yeah, because we just last week, we had to have the road rooted out because it gets backed up.
Do we want to have a look to see what, how much is in this fund
Yeah. So,
to do an additional line item instead of general? Yes, no, maybe?
yeah. Misty, can you run us a report and then send it to all of us that has the actual funds available? Not necessarily just appropriated, but how much funds total are in DOC reimbursement? Oh, do you have it?
I have
Okay.
it June 30th,
So June 30th, yeah. That's close.
if my computer wants to work. Yeah,
That's 4203, fund number.
Because that might be a source where we can maybe pull some from.
Right.
4203. Well, I don't know what it is there. Their numbers are different on, if you're on
this
page.
is off the cloud.
Okay.
$150,
150.
$149. That was as of June.
Well, it might be for this year, but we typically don't budget a whole lot more than what the revenue comes in each year,
There's no
so
receipts year to date.
none.
So. I knew this, I read some story, and I don't know if pattern back us, that the state was not making reimbursements for, that's where the money comes from.
They were behind, yeah.
They were behind, so I don't know if they, when they, or if they're gonna make those, or when they're gonna make the.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to figure something
Okay.
out. Because you'll need an additional.
Right,
You were right about William Smith, I'm sure. Put that on,
about half.
33,000.
I thought so, yeah.
Last year?
No, so far. in
No,
the
this year,
DOC
probably
this year.
the first half this year. Yeah.
No, so it's probably not a whole lot extra than. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Next up on new business is the amending the compensation for employees for the year 2025. It's the salary resolution. It includes the previous transfer for the assessor for their part-time, and it also includes the courthouse security deputy, moving that position to a full-time position instead of part-time. But it's coming out of their current funds.
Do we have a resolution number?
I have it on the agenda, sorry, I didn't write it on.
Okay.
It's 2025 -.
Okay, so
Okay.
resolution number 2025-08. So it adds the full-time courthouse security deputy at an hourly rate of $20.67, and then it increases the maximum budget for the position of data entry clerk with the assessor's office from $5,000 to $10,000.
And that doesn't, we don't have to do any increase in the deputy budget, is that right, Mike?
No,
There was gonna be a little, yes.
A little bit of an addition to that,
It covers to the end of the year.
okay. Make a motion, I take it.
yes, I did.
I'll make a motion for resolution number 2025-08, amending compensation for employees for the year 2025 to include the following positions: full-time courthouse deputy, security deputy at an hourly rate of $20.67, and the maximum budget for the data entry clerk in the assessor's office from $5,000 to $10,000.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion for Mrs. Furry and a second for Mr. Weir to approve resolution number 2025-08 as stated. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All those opposed state no. Resolution is approved. Yes, Jason's here. Okay. Jason, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and do number item E for George, because I have a feeling our conversation's gonna be a lot longer. So, so next up on new business, George Sanquinetti is here on behalf of Vermillion County Heritage Alliance and he's county historian. He's going to speak about the markers that we've done, historical markers. Good evening, George. Hi, George.
Hi. It's been a while since I've been here to talk to anyone here, but we've ran into some frustrating delays, and I wanted to update everybody. Was hoping that during the summer months, I was hoping that we'd have the dedication on these markers, and I wanted to invite everybody since you helped us last year on that. And I think what I'll do is I'll go back to last year and go step by step basically what we did. The Indiana Historical Bureau makes available their applications for the following or the next year online in April. They're due to be submitted in July. We submitted 2 last year in May for the Pionkashaw Village that was up on the Vermillion River in the Cayuga area, and for Major John Chun, who was the founder of Universal and last commander of Fort Harrison in Terre Haute. The Indiana Historical Bureau and the Library Board gets together in September to review the applications, and they get applications from all over the state. How many, I really don't know, but it's very competitive. They get together and they decide what they're going to go with. So they accepted the Pionkashaw marker simply because the Bureau gives priority to minority groups, which the Pionkashaw natives were considered minority. They declined the application on Major John Chun. I checked with Brenda, and we ended up ordering the mark ourselves for the Major John Chun, and it was ordered on October the 25th. Like I said, we've run into a lot of delays. We were told last year that it was taking up to 6 months for Siwa Studios, who's the vendor, and they supply all over the country. It's taking up to 6 months to get those markers. When Tim Yoakum and I got together, when he was first campaigning for commissioner, we got to talking about Brulac Creek, and we decided to get a marker for that. And that we got that through the Vincennes Historical and Antiquarian Society, and it took 3 months at that time to get the marker. They told us now it's taking 6 months. Well, it's been beyond 6 months. The thing is, with the Indiana Historical Bureau, with the state budget cuts, Casey Pfeiffer, who's the manager of the historical marker program, her staff was cut, so she's the only one left. And they're dedicating like 19 markers this year. So that's going to be a complication. We're looking probably to get the Pionkashaw marker sometime next year, because what we wanted to do is get a hold of Chief Craig Harper, who's the chief of the Peoria Tribe of Oklahoma. Back in the 1850s, the Pionkashaw, the Wea, and the let me see now. The Pionkashaw, the Wea, and the Kaskaskia merged with Peoria, and they're in Oklahoma now. I had sent a letter to Chief Craig Harper last year. The Bureau had either sent a letter or emailed, and we never did hear a reply from him. Well, Connie Warner, who's a member of our group, had come across an article, I believe it was this last March, that Chief Craig Harper had been replaced because of some questionable activity. Casey Pfeiffer had been working through the Indiana Native American Indian Affairs Commission to get input, and they wanted to try to hook up with Peoria, but they wanted to kind of tweak the narrative a little bit. Casey, here just within probably the last couple of months or so, was able to get through to the Peoria tribe, and they're in favor of the marker. They want to tweak the marker, and the thing is that once they get that the narrative revised, then they're supposed to send us a copy of the narrative, we okay it, and then they order the marker. So that marker hasn't even been ordered yet. So that's throwing us into next year, which is a little frustrating. The Chun marker, it was, when we got the order form on that, it stated on there, expect delivery of the marker between 24 and 36 months. 36 months was the 4th of July. I had contacted, everything's done on portal through online. And I sent a message inquiring about it, and I didn't get a reply until the following Monday, or the following Tuesday, something like, almost a week. And they said they estimate that that marker will go into production within 2 weeks. So that would throw us toward the latter half of this month, that marker will go into production. How long that'll take to produce is a good guess. So this is what we're dealing with. I had seen Ashley at the fair, and I kind of briefed her a little bit, and I thought I'd better come here and let you know what's going on, because I was hoping to be able to send out invitations and have dedications this year. But that's what we're dealing with. So I thought I'd better let everybody know what's going on.
Okay. Appreciate you following up on all
Yes.
that. Thank you. Sounds
Pardon
like,
me?
appreciate you following up on all of it. It's been a process.
Well, I probably should have said something earlier, but I thought, well, you know, it does take time.
Well, you told us that you were experiencing some delays, so.
Yeah, well, that's what we're dealing with. So, but we've kind of organized our group a little bit. Bill Reynolds is our treasurer now. We selected officers last August. I'm the president, Mike Warner is vice president, Cheryl is our secretary, which she had researched Major John Chun. But we're due to figure out if we're going to continue with those officers or whatever. But Bill, I'm leaving it all up to Bill, because when it comes to the financial end of it, I can do the history, but when it comes to finance, we're incorporated now. He's trying to get 501c status for us so we can go totally on our own, so we can get grants and donations. Because I have some other markers in mind, and one that I'm looking at right now is Boyd's Blockhouse, if you're familiar with that. When William Henry Harrison and his army came through the area going to Tippecanoe, they came up the east side of the river, and roughly about Raccoon Creek or up Montezuma area, they crossed over to the west side. They came up here, and there's a creek that comes in from Park County, Coal Creek. And I've got primary source information on that. That's another stipulation that when we do these markers, it has to be researched, and we have to have documentation. They apparently had trouble getting past that area, and they decided to build a blockhouse. And it's according to John Tipton's journal, which is our primary source. He wrote the journal. He was an ensign with Harrison when they went to Tippecanoe, and he wrote the journal. The blockhouse was built about 3 miles south of the Vermillion River, which will put it roughly pretty close to the power plant, where the power plant's located. It says it was built in a prairie, 25-foot square, so I interpret that to be 25 by 25 foot with breastworks that went down to the river. And I found a letter that Harrison wrote to William Eustis, who was the Secretary of War. It's a big long letter. It was through the Hanover College History Department. And it briefly tells about that. And they left the supply boats and heavy baggage and provisions, and then they proceeded by wagon and crossed the Vermillion River to go on. So I would like to get that going here sometime soon. So hopefully we can all get our group together and get this accomplished, so.
Sounds like you have some good help, though.
Pardon me?
Sounds like you have some good help.
Yeah, Mike and Connie Warner, I mean, they've been active in living history, and I have been for the past 10, 12 years. And everybody's pretty interested. We got about 7 or 8 people with the group, and they're all pretty interested, so.
We appreciate all the hard work everyone does.
Well, I appreciate your help last year, so.
Thank you. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item of new business, we'll go back to Jason Simler. He is here from Baker Tilly. He's here to discuss the impacts of the State Bill 1 and all the new stuff that's coming in.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As usual, I come bringing gifts, but keep in mind, I'm just a messenger.
Yeah. You got the short end of that stick.
Is this different from what I have?
Oh, no, it's the same. Does everyone have a copy? Okay, yes, it's the same.
I don't know. They want a paper copy, I don't know.
Yep.
You want me to hand it out to the audience?
It-
They want it?
They can have it.
I'm sure the mayor wants one.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's the same as that.
Oh, it's the very same? Oh, okay.
This one, Misty did ours. This one's a little bigger printed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of the,
I like the big print. Personally.
Well, thanks again for having me here tonight. And yes, I was asked to kind of come to and talk to the council about Senate Bill 1. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it already, and maybe you've attended some webinars or seminars about it. So I'm happy to be here to try to answer any questions that you have. This is, again, kind of a high-level explanation of Senate Bill 1. There's a lot that was in that, but here's some of the highlights that I think are going to impact the county. And as you're starting to talk about your budget, it's not so much, I don't think, for 2026, and I'll kind of explain why I don't think it's going to impact you as much for 26. But once we start about 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, I think it could potentially have some significant impacts to some of the decisions, maybe some of the decisions that you're going to make this year. So I'll kind of start on page 2, and again, feel free if you have any questions, want me to slow down, repeat something, don't hesitate to stop me. I'd be happy to kind of go over it again. But as you probably heard through the election last fall and through the legislation process this spring, one of the goals, one of the main points of stress was trying to lower property taxes, because someone I heard say that talking about property taxes is a sport these days. That they're too high and everyone's complaining about them, and they were trying to solve that problem. So they solved it in a couple different ways, and I'll kind of go explain how they're doing that. But the majority of it is by reducing assessed value. And as you know, that's important for you because assessed value, that's what makes up your tax base and how you generate revenue. So once we reduce tax base or reduce assessed value for the taxpayer, that can be a good thing for them. That means they pay less taxes. But when you pay less taxes, that could potentially mean less revenue for you to help fund your budget. So I'm going to talk about how the legislators are hoping to reduce property taxes for the various classifications. And on page 2 is the first kind of classification I want to talk about, is the homestead. Homeowners. As you typically know now, when you probably received your Form 11s maybe a month or 2 months ago, that had your gross assessed value, what your house was assessed at. Well, that's not necessarily what you pay taxes on, because you currently get deductions and supplemental deductions that you subtract from your gross, and it comes up with your net assessed value, and that's what you actually pay taxes on. So in 2025, we received a $48,000 standard deduction on your house. And then after that, we got an additional deduction of about 37.5%. So taking those two deductions, that came up with your debt assessment. Starting in 2026, so for next year, we still get that $48,000 deduction, but we get a higher supplemental deduction. We get an additional 40% off. And then after that, after our taxes are calculated, we get the lesser of $300 credit or 10% of what your tax bill. So let's say, you know, we go through your taxes and you owe $1,000, you're going to get another 10% off that, 10% credit of $100. Again, great for the taxpayer, but that's $100 less that you're going to get to help fund your budget. Not only you, but the schools, the townships, the libraries, all the other tax units. And then as you can see, and a lot of these are phased in over time, you can see in 2027, they're starting to reduce the standard deduction. So by the 2031, you have no standard deduction. However, you can see the supplemental increases from 37.5% that we received this year to 66.7% in 2031. So we're going to be paying taxes on about a third of our assessment. Again, great for the taxpayer, but that means a third of your assessment, or your tax base, is going to decrease. And you're going to hear this from me quite a bit. If you think about how assessments and tax rates and circuit breaker losses work, decrease in assessment means we have to increase our tax rates to generate the same amount of revenue, but that means more people are going to hit the tax caps, which means more circuit breaker losses for us. So that's what I'm concerned that could potentially happen, not only to the county, but all the other tax units. I'll kind of show how that might work. And then there's also some additional credits for 65 and older and disabled homeowners that are not in place now, but will start to be in place in 2026. So again, those are just additional credits that are going to reduce property taxes, but are going to reduce the amount of revenue that we currently collect. So on page 3, I put together a kind of an example, looking at the average house value in Indiana, about $240,000. As I said, for 2025, assuming it assesses for $240,000, they receive a $48,000 credit, and they receive a 37.5% supplemental credit. So for a $240,000 house, you're really only paying taxes on $120,000 assessment. Now you jump all the way to 2031, that same $240,000 house, after the additional phase-in, now they're only paying taxes on $80,000 of that $240,000. Again, great for the taxpayers, but that's a 66% reduction, or 66% of what you're worth. That's, you know, again, a reduction in your tax base that you count on to help fund revenue to fund your budget. Now, one thing you'll probably point out and say, well, you know, hopefully, you know, especially in the last couple of years, our houses are going to increase by at least some percentage between now and 2031. But again, as your house increases, that's just a bigger deduction. And then what I'm also hearing from some county assessors is, your county's probably not much different. Houses have probably increased quite a bit the last couple of years. The fear is if the economy takes a turn, it's going to be stagnant, or worse, they could go down. So I kind of kept a flat 1 just to make the math easy, but also hopefully be conservative. Page 4. The legislators also wanted to reduce the property taxes for those that are in the 2% cap. So the 2% cap are farmers, all the ag land is assessed at 2% cap. Rental property, assisted living, and multifamily, like apartments. They're all capped at 2%, so they don't pay more than 2% of their assessed value. For 2025, whatever their assessed value was, they paid 100% of their taxes off that assessed value, unless the county granted them tax abatement. Starting in 2026, they're now going to start receiving deductions. So in 2026, they're going to see a 6% reduction in their assessment, meaning only pay taxes on 94% of their assessment. And that's going to gradually increase until 2031, where they'll only be paying taxes on 66% of their assessment, compared to the 100% that they're paying now. Again, great for the taxpayers, but that's a third of our tax base that we're losing in that 2% classification. So again, my fear is that's going to drive up tax rates and drive up circuit breaker losses. Also, the note there, agricultural land. They changed the formula. As you know, agricultural land has its own land classification, has its own formula on how that assessment is calculated. They changed that formula to reduce what the assessment is per ag land. I think it's about a reduction of about $280 per acre for 1 year. So again, that's going to either reduce our tax base or not have it grow as much as what we had intended for it to. So not only do farmers get a change in their formula, but they also get that deduction starting in 2026.
How often do they revisit that? The ag? Every time it goes up? Every time it goes up?
It's kind of like when the formula stops working in their favor, and then they kind of change the.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a.
No, it's all lobbyists.
Whatever.
I know at one point it was looking at it was going to double because of the way that current rate was, so I'm not surprised they changed it.
Yeah, it's based upon the income that's generated, bushels per acre.
Right.
So as the economy is doing well, as the income generates.
I just didn't know if there was a rate, if every 2 years, every 5 years, or it's just.
Yeah, it was like last February I was at a conference and they expected it to like almost double because of the formula, so they did have.
Okay.
So page 5 is how we can benefit the 3%. So this is the commercial property. Two main things are happening here. One, the de minimis exemption. So this is any taxpayer who owns equipment that costs $80,000 or less, they can file an exemption and not pay any property taxes on that equipment. That's the same for 2026, still at $80,000. But you can see in 2027, it jumps up to $2 million. So any company, any taxpayer that has $2 million of equipment or less can file an exemption and not have to pay any more property taxes on their personal property. So I was in one county, a much smaller county than you, and they thought they probably had about 2 taxpayers that fit within that category of having more than 2 million.
Wow.
So they're really nervous about this because it's going to really wipe out a lot of their tax base. And then the other thing for personal property, oftentimes you've probably heard about the 30% floor. I know, with the wind and solar projects that we've had, we really talked about the 30% floor and trying to figure out how much new assessment was going to bring into the county. That's because for all manufacturing equipment and utility property, they pay taxes on the greater of what their depreciated value is or 30% of cost. So their taxes never fall below 30% of the cost. That's why we call it the 30% floor. Legislators have been trying to get rid of personal property taxes as long as I've worked for 26 years because a lot of our neighboring states don't tax equipment. They have all these other taxes that make up the loss in personal property taxes, but don't tax personal property. So we were able to convince legislators don't completely eliminate it because that's such a huge part of our tax base. So what they did was kept any equipment that's currently in place, that's still subject to the 30% floor. But any new equipment that's going to be invested starting January of this year, it's not subject to the 30% floor. So it could depreciate all the way to 5%, most probably 15%, all depends upon the life of the equipment. For utility property, wind and solar, they could legally go down to 0%. From what I've talked to some, they'll probably maybe stop at 5%, but they could depreciate down to 0. And it depreciates pretty quick, usually after 5 or 6 years. So my fear is eventually all that new or all that old equipment, that's going to be that's at the 30% cost. Companies are going to replace it with new equipment, and it's going to depreciate faster and at a lower, and eventually eat away at our tax base. And if I'm a company and I'm thinking about, hey, investing, in a couple of years from now, I'm probably going to invest sooner to get out of that 30% cost. So my fear is it's going to, again, eat away at our tax base gradually as new equipment gets invested. Okay, a little bit of good news. On page 6, the maximum levy growth quotient that you're all probably very familiar with as you're working on your budget, it remains at 4%, capped at 4% this year. And I say good news is because one of the bills was proposed is going to be capped at 0%. You couldn't increase your budget at all for 2026. That was one of the proposals. And then 1% in 2027 and 2% in 2028. They eliminated that and capped it at 4%. Now, if you look at that second bullet point, the formula is really based upon the 6-year average of non-farm income. And because the economy's been doing well, if you did the math, we really should be able to grow our budget by 5.6% this year. And it's been over 5% the last couple of years if you use the formula. But as you know, the legislators have capped it at 4% the last couple of years, and they continued it for 2026. So as you're looking at your budget, you can kind of take the amount of revenue collected last year and increase it by 4%. That's probably the most that you can really get from the state.
Which is the same.
So it's a little bit of good news because it could be a lot worse. And then according to 2027, it's going to go supposed to go back to the formula unless next session they change it and cap it again. So, and then there's some additional, if you look at the last bullet point, starting in 2029, if you do increase your budget by more than the prior year, there's additional public hearing. So some changes to the process. So the next couple schedules, I tried to put together some just illustrative numbers. These aren't real numbers per se, as far as I say, real impacts, but just kind of showing an illustration of what potentially could happen for Vermillion County. So page 7, these are your real funds. These are your real property tax levies. So these are, for your general fund, you did levy $8.9 million. Your tax rate really is $1,085 million, and the tax rate for your general fund is almost 83 cents. So looking at all your funds, you levy about $9.8 million. And based upon your tax base, you need to levy a tax of about 91 cents to be able to fund that budget. So I looked at, okay, jump to 2031. Let's say our revenue can increase 4% per year. That gets us up to about $12.4 million in 2031. And let's say of all the things that I just mentioned before, all the decreases in assessed value, what happens if your assessment dropped 20%? It's just 80% of what it is now. And I just pulled that out of the air. There's no scientific math behind that, just for illustration. So your tax base drops to $868 million. Now you need to have a tax rate of $1.42 to be able to fund your budget in 2031. And then if you look at some of your funds that are, rate capped, that depend upon tax base, like your Cume Cap Development Fund, it goes from $209,000 to $167,000 because it's all based upon your tax base. It increases or decreases as your tax base changes. Again, this is just for illustration. I'm not saying that your tax base is going to decrease by that much, but it potentially could, depending upon the makeup of your tax base. And speaking of that, page 8, I did look at your tax base, the $1,085 million, just to kind of show you, of that, $209 million is the 1%, the homesteads. So you can kind of think about a third of that could potentially go away. The 2%, $418 million. So again, all that, unless there's tax abatements, right now there's no deductions. Starting in 2026, you're going to see a 6% reduction in that because of the deductions, and that's going to grow to 66% by 2031. So that kind of scares me for your county because which doesn't surprise me, a lot of rural county, probably have a lot of agricultural. You're going to have a lot of assessment that currently doesn't have any deductions are going to start receiving some. Again, that's going to eat into your tax base. The 3%, it's a small chunk, the $160 million, but then your personal property, $398 million. Some of that's probably Elanco, so they're over $2 million, so they're not going to be impacted, except for, well, they're in a TIF area, and that's one thing, is if they're in a TIF area, they're still subject to the 30% floor. So it's actually a good thing, not only for the TIF, that we created a TIF area to capture their personal property, for the incentives and the other benefit that's gonna generate. But also, since they're in the TIF area, they're still gonna be subject to the 30% floor, their old equipment and new equipment.
And now is that existing TIF only? So if we
Yes.
were to create a new TIF?
Yeah, but the only TIF areas that were created before January 1, 2025. Now, I will say, for the auditor's office, I think that is going to be an issue, because like the city of Clinton, you know, they have a TIF area, that their downtown TIF area. There's companies in there that we don't capture their personal property, but they are in a TIF area. So technically, they do not qualify for this exemption. They probably don't know that they're in the TIF area. So I haven't really figured out how we're gonna notify what companies that are in the TIF area, and then also help ease their minds when they come in angry that they don't qualify for 30% floor, but their neighbor across the street does, just because they're in this imaginary line.
Yep.
So that's something that I think the auditor's office is gonna have.
But will that only affect them if they're over 2 million?
No, for the 30% floor, that's
30%.
all.
It's correct.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right. It's only if they're over 2 million. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're under 2 million, they don't be paying taxes anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's
So
a good one.
they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be
Maybe-
happy.
So the small businesses won't get hurt in
No.
the TIF areas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on page 9, just looking at your circuit breaker, because again, my fear is that the decrease in tax base is going to increase circuit breaker, or increase tax rates and increase circuit breaker losses. So right now, you know, based upon 2025, you have a $10 million levy. You lose about $610,000, and 100% collection rate, you'd bring in about 9.4 million. So you lose about 6% of your levy right now because of the circuit breaker. So as you know, when you're looking at your budget, you know, you figure out what you're going to collect from the state. You need to back out, you know, $600,000-$700,000, because you're not going to collect that because of the 1, 2, and 3% caps. So page 10, I tried to again put together an illustration again how I think this may potentially harm us. So in 2025, looking at a $200,000 house, after the $48,000 deduction and exemptions, you only pay $95,000 taxes on that assessed value. Looking at the city of Clinton tax rate, the current tax rate for the city of Clinton is $3.54. So they pay, their gross taxes is $3,366. However, for homesteads, you only pay 1% of your gross assessed value. You've capped at that. The 1% of 200,000 is 2,000. So this taxpayer receives a circuit breaker credit of $1,366 to get him down to that cap. Let's jump to 2031. That same $200,000 house, now they only pay taxes on $66,600 because of the additional deductions. That's great for them, but again, because of the decrease in tax base, I'm afraid tax rates are going to go up. I just assumed a 40% increase. So now the city of Clinton's tax rate is going to be $4.96. Take that times the lower assessment, so their gross taxes is still only $3,304. So that's actually good. Circuit breaker went down. Now the circuit breaker cap is only $1,304 compared to $1,366. Give it $2,000. However, now I say however, it's a good thing for the taxpayer. Now they're going to receive a $200 credit on their tax bill, get them down to $1,800. So even those people who live in the city of Clinton who are well above the cap, they should see a tax benefit because of this credit. The problem I see is the next page, the circuit breaker credits. So 2025, again, we're showing a $1,366 circuit breaker credit for that taxpayer. If you allocate that between all the different entities, the county loses $351 from that taxpayer. Jump to 2031, because of the circuit breaker cap and the $200 credit, they receive $1,504 of credits. Now you're going to lose about $385 from that taxpayer. Again, this is just for illustration. Hopefully assessments continue to increase like they have and offset some of these reductions that we're talking about. But if they don't, you could potentially see some impacts like this. So I know I've thrown a lot out at you on the property tax side, but I'm happy to
I got a question.
Yeah.
On the rate, having to increase it and basically to remain constant, is there a maximum rate that they said that you can only increase the rate per year?
Not yet.
Okay.
I mean, like your cume cap development, there are caps on that. Cume bridge, there are certain caps, like your general fund, there's currently not a cap. Now, that has been discussed by some legislators, that they thought that these levies, capping the levy 4% is not enough, that we do need to have caps on the rates.
They didn't pass it.
Not yet, but I've heard that's discussion for next year,
Okay.
which that would just hurt us even more.
Right.
Yeah. And again, and this is just illustration, again, hopefully it's not, I mean, these are just kind of numbers I created, but just to kind of help show you how, one thing impacts another.
Sure.
Page 12, kind of last thing on the property taxes, and this is more for the auditor. As you know, we have to adjust base values for TIF areas. As you can see, the tax rate increasing, that could generate a windfall for TIF areas. Because a higher tax rate, TIF could get more revenue than we anticipated. So legislators realized that. So now we have to neutralize TIF for the impacts of Senate Bill 1. As you can see, there's a lot going into Senate Bill 1, so I'm not sure what that form is going to look like. It's going to be a doozy, I think, but the LGF has to create it, and they said they're going to create it next year.
Next year? So that'll be effective 27 numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be something else that the auditor's office will be responsible for preparing for all the TIF areas in the county. Again, that's to allow them not to get a windfall.
So until we see that form, I really don't know what's going to happen on.
Well, that's for the TIF areas. I mean, for the
TIF.
TIF areas, it's just trying to keep things even.
So their goal is to keep it about where it's at.
For TIF areas.
Okay.
Just for TIF areas. For taxes, the goal was to reduce property taxes. And I think we kind of showed how they went about that. Which is now why I think I'm going to talk about local income taxes. Because, and I think, we have been in front of the board before about different things. I know you had to increase your income taxes, over the last few years recently. And it has been a shift to go from property taxes to local income taxes. And this is just forcing us to go that way even more. Because they know that this is going to reduce property taxes, reduce our revenue. Either we have to cut costs or we have to find another way to generate revenue. And as you know, you don't really have very many options. Really, the only one you have is the local income tax. So what they did was, everything that we've known about the local income tax for the last 10 years, they basically threw that out and created something new. So before I talk about the new, I thought I'd kind of give you a summary of where you're at now.
Is there anything they've left alone?
They kind of left TIF alone, to be honest with you, which is a good thing. They'll probably blame TIF for everything and make changes to next year, but no, they for the property taxes and local income taxes, I mean, they did some, as you can tell, some significant changes.
Jason, the supplemental homestead is, so it's a credit of 300, is it 300?
Yes.
The lesser of 10%,
Okay.
Yeah.
or $300.
And then the senior credit, is that just for people who filed for 65 and over?
And they have to meet certain income thresholds.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really going to be more work for the auditor's office to get that information, and I think there may be some of that now, but it's going to be more work and seeing who qualifies.
The credits are interesting because those are just taxes that we will levy and we will just not collect. And,
Right.
And we won't collect them, which means that they won't, the county won't get them, but the school won't get them, the city or town, if they live in the city or town, won't get them, et cetera. So that's gonna be a big impact on because we can adjust rates up to make up for the loss of assessed value, but that's gonna push us deeper into the circuit breaker, number one, and then number two, we're gonna be seeing these new credits on top of it. So I mean, there's going to be a reduction in property tax.
And there was something, Rick, do you remember we went to the West Central meeting and something about the county has required to do something and that the cities won't get it, or?
It's on the income tax.
You're probably talking about
Is that
local
income
and
tax?
that's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay, we're not there yet. All right.
Yeah.
I knew it was something.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about now,
That's
because
a lot.
I mean, the thought is that to help make up for that lost revenue, we have the tool local income tax.
Okay.
Now, like I said, they basically threw everything that we've known and created something new.
Okay.
The good thing is it's going to give the county, and especially the county council, you have a lot more power than you ever had before. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll talk about that. But I also think counties are going to be the winners in this new structure.
Yeah.
I think the cities and towns and townships, and of course the schools, they're the ones that I think they're going to maybe struggle and not get as much money under the new structure as they do now in some cases. But right now, the county has certified shares, which you receive about $1.6 million. You've also implemented the public safety tax, about 0.75%, which you all $2.8 million is your share, and then the edit tax of 0.25, which your share is $940,000. So you currently receive about $5.3 million in local income taxes. Of those three rates, you can see there in the box there in the middle of the page, they total 1.5%. And all those, including the jail lit, which you don't have, the EMS or judicial, you could levy up to 2.5%. Right now you're at 1.5, so you have a 1% capacity. Or I'm sorry, 0.75% capacity. And then you could have the property tax replacement, but you don't have. So again, you have 1.5% of all your lit rates. So if you turn to page 14, I just usually like to put this schedule together because I know communities kind of like to know where they fall. So you're a little below half. About half is about 1.81%. If you average all 92 counties, the lowest being Porter County at 0.5%, and the highest Randolph County at 3%. The average is about 1.8. So right now, your total rate's a little below halfway.
I counted 24 counties that are actually below this.
So, yeah.
So, in case anybody wanted, the lines are little.
And I can't remember, are you guys a Cadgett or Cohen County? I forgot to look. Do you have the local income tax? You don't, because the council right now gets to decide. Okay.
Yeah.
In some counties, they have to talk to the cities and towns, and they have to, get a majority to vote. You don't have that. Under the new legislation, that goes away.
Okay.
County needs to make the decision regardless.
One thing that doesn't affect us.
Yeah. The other thing that does impact you is right now, as you know, if you make a change to your local income tax rate, you don't have to address it again until you want to make another change. Beginning in 2027, when we adopt this new rate, you have to adopt the local income tax rate every year. Even if you don't want to make a change, you still have to go and reaffirm it. So that's going to be something new.
If you miss that deadline, it goes.
Are you still on 14?
15.
At 15.
Okay. Sorry. I was trying to read the small
There's a
print.
deadline you do not want to miss.
Yeah.
If we blow our budget deadline right now, we just keep the previous year's tax budget. If you blow this deadline,
You get nothing.
zero.
That's a problem.
So if you turn to page 16, this kind of gets into the weeds. But as you know, right now we talked about the different buckets. You have certified shares, you have public safety, you have edit. There are no more buckets starting in 2028. You're just going to have one county general fund rate, and you can go up to 1.2%. And like right now, the public safety, the edit, certified shares, you adopt it, you share it with the city of Clinton, Newport, townships, others. This 1.2%, you get to keep all of it yourself. You don't want to share with anyone. You also have the ability to adopt up to a 0.4% rate for fire protection and EMS. And there's words here, and then on page 18, there's a graph as well. So you may want to look at the graph while I'm talking. And then you can also fund up to 0.2% for non-municipalities. That's like townships, libraries. But one thing is, any of these entities, they have to come in front of you and ask for that 0.4% up to 0.2%. They don't automatically get it. Also, for cities and towns with a population of 3,500, you can adopt the rate up to 1.2%. Again, but they have to come to you and ask for that. They don't automatically receive it. And of that 1.2% that you can give to them, if you're max 1.2%, you get to keep 75% of that, the cities and towns, before you distribute it to them. There's another little bucket of revenue that the county could collect if they wanted to.
Okay, so like,
I know.
it's like,
Yeah.
the city of Clinton, if they adopted 1.2,
What's their population?
it's over
5,000?
48. They could, and then they would not get any of that if they adopt their own rate afterwards.
Yeah, the city of Clinton, they're unique because any city or town over 3,500, they can adopt their own rate up to 1.2%. So the city of Clinton will not have to go to get permission. Their council will adopt their own rate.
Does the county take part of that?
No.
Okay.
The city
It's
gets to
just
keep all
under
of it.
3,500.
Yes. So like, and this is important, especially for like even the mayors, the cities, because if you have someone in the city of Clinton, they're going to pay the city local income tax rate, and they're going to pay the county local income tax rate. So you're going to have people in the county potentially paying different local income tax rates. Having fun yet?
See all kinds of.
That's just
People move
confusing.
out of town.
It's just so confusing. Like, oh my.
Now, if they impose the 1.2,
The city of Clinton?
no, like anybody that's smaller than 3,500, is it automatic that the county gets the 75%?
You can choose.
Okay, we can play nice. Okay.
And you can change it from year to year, which makes it more difficult. But yeah.
You mean the percentage?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can do 1 year, you can do 1.2, is next year you could do something less. But when you can't pick and choose, like we want to give town A something, but not town B.
So it's all or nothing. And is it this up to 75%?
That's what you get to keep, but the rest that you get to
But we
distribute.
could do 10% or something under that,
so.
okay.
Is the fire protection and EMS is specifically, that's new, that's its own, I mean, that's a county tax, correct?
Right. That's
The
a
county's not
0.4%.
required to provide fire protection. Cities, towns, and townships are. So is that something we collect and distribute?
Yeah, you collect it and then distribute it to the fire districts and fire territories.
We
Or
don't have any
not?
fire districts or territories though. So
Yeah, they're all
they
in the
would-
towns.
Well, there are cities, so right now in this county, it's cities, a municipal fire department, or a town, or a township. Or you actually, most of them are independent volunteer fire departments with a contract with a township or with the town, for example. So they may be like a 501c3 fire department, for example, volunteer fire department.
Well, you can also do it for, if you look at the, if you enter fire protection EMS, if you look at the bottom box, you can also use that for municipal fire departments, volunteer fire departments as well. So you can distribute it to those as well.
So how does that work? Is it a set formula on the allocation?
Yes.
So basically, we would say who's included and who's not included, and then the state has an allocation formula of what they would get out of that tax rate?
I don't know if you get to pick who does and who doesn't. I'll have to double check that, but there is a formula on how it's distributed.
Okay, but I mean, like, we could pick and say, like, okay, every fire department, however they're associated in the county, we want them included in the fire protection. But then the allocation that they actually get from that is based on the state.
Yeah, it's based upon, it's there in the box there too, based upon the population of the covered area.
Okay.
And then same thing for the non-municipalities like townships, if they get certified shares now, right now they would get nothing. So if you want to give them something, they'd have to come and ask, and then you base that on per capita of the townships.
So what if some come ask and some don't?
What's up?
What if some come ask and some don't? You give it to one, you gotta give it to all, so they can just have one.
Well, I think,
Aren't they supposed to get together and have kumbaya and say, let's go to the county?
I think, I'm thinking, I don't know if you do have to give it all, I'll have to double check, I remember reading that, now I'm not for
They
sure.
have to adopt something too, I believe, that says they want a
Yes.
distribution. So, because
By July 1, they have to come to you and say that they want.
and if they fail to, I was told by, Adam Stewart, that if they don't do that, they get 0.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, I mean, everyone's still trying to
Sure.
digest this and then run through scenarios about, well, what if this doesn't
There's
happen?
a lot of moving pieces.
Because the concern is that, again, some town, you know, they blow a deadline, clerk treasurer gets sick, something happens, and they don't get their thing to you before July, whatever. And he thought they would get 0 the next year.
But then, like, let's say you adopted, I think that's right, but if they adopt, like, let's say you, whatever rate you picked, it was like $300,000, and that community fails to ask for any, that $300,000 gets allocated to the rest of them. Like, it's not like you get to keep their share
It's just, yeah, more pie
for the ones who did file on time.
because we have a couple towns that haven't even had
Guess it
budgets
makes
the last
people do
couple
their
of years. They haven't been able to get their act together in time. So, not including Perrysville.
And what's the deadline for us, Scott? You said
I don't know
0.
yet.
Okay.
So many days before our budget hearings, we have, well, that's a different thing.
Are they moving budget hearings back? Because if the deadline for all of these requirements are July 1st, that doesn't give us a whole lot of time to calculate who's in, who's out, what revenue we're getting, like.
I don't.
Yeah, that's one.
Probably not gonna be moved forward.
Yeah.
Our preparation.
I mean, but if the state's not giving us numbers, that's hard to, like, we can't budget until we figure out who's getting what distributions.
Jason, how do the counties, because some of the counties are done in August. How are they done if they don't have their numbers? I always wondered that.
Well, they
Just guessing?
Well, for the local income tax, DLGF comes out with estimates in August.
But I know some of them are done in August. I mean,
They
they've
usually
done
just
their
base
budget
it on last
hearings
year's
and
collections.
they just,
Yeah.
okay.
So we can, let's say, we know what you collected in 2025.
Yeah.
Like right now, we could figure out, based upon that, what rate you would need to adopt, because, your rate right now is 1.5. You're not gonna need to adopt 1.5% to get your $5 million that you get now, because you get $5 million after you distribute it to everyone else. Again, your 1.2, you could keep all that. So the tax rate that the county's gonna adopt to get your $5 million is going to be much less than 1.5. Now, once you start adding in the fire, EMS, or the townships, the libraries, or whatever, then no one's going to pay more than 2.9% in the county. So once you add up all those little, categories, you can't pay more than 2.9.
I think the fire department's allocations are based on formulas too for population and square miles of coverage or something like that. So that's new as far as how we typically do that with a generalized same amount for each one. So now we'll have formulas to distribute.
In some ways, it will simplify things at the county level. Yeah. Because we will not have these buckets. It will just be one big bucket for the most part.
And from what we understand, it will all just go to your general fund. So that's a good point, Scott did mention. Right now, you have your, certified shares goes in your general fund. You have your edit, has an edit fund, but it can be used for any legal purpose. But your public safety, as you know, that's kind of restricted somewhat. This general fund, we think will all just go to your general fund and can be used for any legal purpose. So you're right, that way it will make things simpler.
What about remaining balances in those funds?
We don't know yet. We haven't gotten guidance. We don't know if field will allow you to have those forms in 2028 be dormant and just move everything to the general fund, or they may have you keep it in that fund until you spend it all, just because of the very reason that when you adopted it, it was meant for a special purpose. I'm hoping they just call it dormant, like move it to the general fund, because it'll be easier from a bookkeeper standpoint. But I don't know. But it's a good point that when we're a couple years out, but when you do your budget for 2028, you have to move all your revenues into your general fund and also your expenses as well.
Fun. That's going to be an interesting year.
What is the lit special purpose?
Oh, the special purpose. You don't have one, so that's probably why you don't know what it is. But a lot of counties have a special purpose rate where they went to legislation and asked for a specific lit that's outside into the other current statutes. That's usually for specific projects like a jail, or a courthouse. Typically, those are the two big.
So basically, they kind of made some exceptions for people who had those.
And that has a separate line on because because they were special exceptions, they're outside that 1.2.
Okay.
Were those pre-existing, or can
Yes.
they be newly created special purposes?
They could be new. I can tell you that there were a number of counties had them, and a lot of them were going to the legislation asking for a special rate for a jail. And a lot of these are special purpose rates for jails. And the legislators didn't like granting, saying, yes, we're going to allow you to increase your tax. So that's why they came up with the new jail lit rate of 1.2%. That allowed you to make that decision. And the last 3 or 4 years, when we've gone to the legislators and asked for a special purpose rate for a project, their first question usually has been, have you exhausted all your other rates first? And if you haven't gone to the max, which no county has, then they say, well, you need to go to the max, we give you this pool, raise that, and then if you still need more, come to us. So it can be done, but it's more difficult now.
So this is what we use for, I guess, our current jail, and we make pretty big payments on the jail now, so this is all gonna affect that, and I didn't know if we needed to reconsider a new.
So where do you make your jail payments at now?
The same at public safety.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we will, it gets complicated. There's some bond saving language in here, I think, about minimum rates to keep enough to make your debt payments.
That's still subject, like right now, under your bond covenants, it says you can't reduce your tax rate below a certain amount, but in 2020, that tax rate doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So there's some legal issues that just bond councils have, but I think where you're getting with this is we're probably going to have to raise your lit rate at least high enough to cover your bond payment.
So beginning 2028, that's like the revenue we receive in 2028. So
2027.
So you'll need to make the decision in 27.
okay.
And like right now, again, if you wanted to make a change to your local income tax rate for 2026, we can, and we have to do that by October 31st. But the new deadline is October 1st. So 2027, that's the key date to remember.
October 1st.
October 1st. So probably what we'll really want to be thinking about is not only calculate a rate that we think that we need to generate an amount of revenue that we're collecting now, but then also try to quantify how much losses we're going to have because of Senate Bill 1 that we might need to be able to generate enough revenue to offset those losses.
Is there any data available from the state on income at the county level and
The county level, yes.
county level, but not city level?
Yeah, that Department of Revenue said that might come out in 27. That's what I heard.
By the time they have to make the change.
So we're putting together some estimates based upon some census information. Again, the county's easy. It's when we start getting to the cities because, you know, your tax is based upon the whole adjusted gross income of all the citizens that live in the county. That's how you are now. For the city of Clinton, it's just going to be on the people who live in the city of Clinton. And that information isn't known.
And that's hard to calculate, in part because Neil has a Clinton address, but Neil does not live in Clinton. I have a Clinton address. I don't live in Clinton. A lot of people have, so you can't just go off addresses, and you have to go off of
Physical location.
Yeah, physical location,
parcel
but I'm not
numbers.
sure how the Department of Revenue knows if your physical location's within, or your employer knows if your physical location's within it.
And what we're finding out is, and I don't know, we haven't ran numbers here for the city, but I'm finding out the average median house income is lower in the cities than they are countywide. So again, I'm finding that if the city goes to the max 1.2%, they may still not be collecting as much as what they are now under the current system. So that's something for, for the cities to really look at.
And the city, I understand, does have the option of not doing their own rate and just hoping that the county does a rate that then gets distributed to the towns and they would get part of that distribution as well.
Yeah, since the city of Clinton's so small, that it would not surprise me if they fit in that boat where they could get less. So Scott's exactly right. They could opt out of being big city and be part of the group that is under 3,500, and their share might be bigger under that method. The thing that Adam also told me though is once that city makes that decision, it's for life.
What's the requirement to be a city as far as population?
3,500.
3,500. Was that lowered at some point?
That's to do this tax thing, not to be a city.
Okay.
And you might be thinking of wheel tax. Wheel tax have a threshold of like 5,000 too.
Some cities can do your own wheel tax.
So that's, to Scott's point, that's what the city should run, look at both scenarios to see which option gets in the most revenue, whether they opt in as a 3,500 city or not.
Are there certain, it seems like I'm going off memory here, there were certain things, like certain classes the city has to provide the citizens with certain services or certain types of, like a police department or something like that. If you fall below a certain amount of people, does that change?
Not for this purpose.
Okay.
There are, like, for first and second class cities, there are certain milestones and thresholds that they have to meet, but for local income tax, it's just the population.
But if the city elected to be less than the 3,500, and we adopted a tax for municipalities under that amount, then all the municipalities would have to have that tax.
No, how many cities do you have over
There's only
population?
one city.
Just the one?
But
Okay,
there's
so
a
it's just
couple
city.
of towns.
So the other
incorporated.
towns would fall under the 3,500. And
Fairgrounds
everyone in the
incorporated.
county would pay the 0.12, and it would get divvied up between the cities and towns per capita. But city of Clinton, they could choose to get into that 1.2%. And they might, because if they look at the 1.2% countywide, and if they have to share it with the other cities and towns, that might be more than if they just looked at the city of Clinton by themselves.
But is the county service, like just the one that goes to the county at 1.2? So would they be paying 2.4?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why.
Everyone would be paying 2.4.
Yes. If city of Clinton were to opt in with the smaller cities and
And
towns.
the county were to adopt a 1.2. So the county can have a 1.2 for the county, and then the county can have up to a 1.2 that gets distributed to the towns in the city. So you could have a 2.4 rate, but that 2.4 rate would be applicable no matter where you
live.
live.
Even if you didn't live necessarily in like Dana or Cayuga.
Yeah. Just like now.
Just like now.
Yeah, just like now. I mean,
everybody pays the same rate in the county.
Wouldn't those be considered like the non-municipal? 0.2?
yeah, they would. No, the non-municipal is like townships, libraries.
Airport, we have.
So everybody technically has a municipality. It's just whether and what size it is.
Well, I mean, to be a municipality, it has to be an incorporated city or town. It can't just be like like, for example, town of Fairview Park, city of Clinton, but St. Bernice is not incorporated, or Universal is incorporated, I believe. Cayuga is, but like maybe Perrysville is not. I don't know all.
Perrysville is.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so if you have a town board and their own, governmental, it's just a layer of government, but it has to be incorporated.
So there's a 1.2 that can be divided between towns and cities. There's 1.2 county, 1.2 for towns and cities, and then a 0.2 that is everybody else, except for schools, right, Jason?
Yeah, schools don't get
They get screwed, so they do, they don't get anything. So the 0.2 is
just for your townships, libraries.
and libraries for us. That would be it.
So some people would be at 1.4 because you'd have the 1.2 for the county, and then non-municipal would be 0.2. But if you lived in a municipality, you'd have 1.2 plus
It's the same
1.2.
rate for everyone. Countywide rate.
Yeah, so if
It's
you're
just
in
how-
Vermillion
it's
town-
just how
Why
that's
you
made
can
up.
take a percentage of that 1.2.
Oh, okay.
The county's collecting it and distributing it, to these cities and towns.
Yeah, if you look at the graph here, on page 18, it says the tax base. That also tells you who has to pay the taxes. So for the municipality's population of less than 3,500, it's the AGI of the entire county, less the city of Clinton if they were to opt in as a large city. In your scenario,
Yes.
if the city of Clinton says they want to be treated like a small town, then that 1.2 would be collected on everyone in the county as well.
Need to offer some housing to some patient players or something.
What is the state trying to accomplish with all these changes? I mean, are we trying to
Give Jason full
reduce the
time.
size of the government, or?
They reduce property taxes.
My concern
Well, I
is,
know,
But I mean, you reduce property taxes, but then, you know, if the goal is, say, well, we're gonna reduce property taxes, we gotta increase something else to stay the same. But we did reduce property taxes, which I suppose puts more of a burden on everyone by having an income tax, saying, well, if you don't pay a property tax, like you rent maybe, or something like that, you still pay an income taxes, but you don't.
my concern is, how is everyone going to understand this to know even how to budget anything or what the revenue is going to be? Because all the small towns, are they even going to know where they
It's
fall
gonna be
or
very
what they
tricky.
get?
I mean, if you have inconsistencies, and you could have this, where you have changes in council or something like that happens, and you go from saying, okay, we're gonna do the 1.2 for us, and then we're gonna do a 0.8 for all the towns, and we'll do the fire thing this year, and then next year you get new people and they go,
They
you know
don't.
what?
And they don't.
I don't like these income taxes, let's not have them.
I mean, are we going to need to go to every
Miss the deadline.
township, municipality, and like, or are they supposed to come bring their information to us? Because technically, if they don't file it, then they get nothing.
The
There
issue,
needs to be communication.
I mean, this is gonna
Education's
be-
gonna be key between now and
Education,
then.
yeah.
I have talked to a couple of town boards about this already. Mayor's here, I've talked to him about it. That's why I look so sad. But, you know,
Just got the job.
some of this is, I mean, it's so complicated, unless you're the clerk treasurer perhaps, they don't know, they don't get, hey, this is how we pay for our town marshal, or this is, you know, what we use to pay for X. I know, I was in Cayuga, last week, I think they use a lot of their public safety money to pay for their town
Town of
marshal.
Fairview uses all of theirs to pay for their marshal,
Yeah, and
so they
and
don't,
so if
it's
you-
not on here.
If they don't have a tax
No, it's
rate,
gone.
you know, that's gonna be impactful for them.
So it's gonna be
And-
important for them to come to the council and ask, and it's gonna be important for us and for them to run the numbers to see if, based upon this new method, if they're gonna generate enough to
But
pay their town.
we can't set separate rates for different towns. So somebody may need a smaller rate, but someone needs a higher rate, but you're,
That's the reason why in the future, budgets have to be good budgeting.
Yep.
Because we can't keep going, you know, giving more money here, go more money there, or spending more overtime in this area or whatever. You've got to stay within your budget. I mean, I'm getting serious about this.
I agree.
There's no room for error.
You need to have your projects ready a year out or more.
Exactly. That's the reason why we need to look at Cume Bridge really close.
Cume
What's
Bridge
the
is-
date?
Cume Bridge is going to take a hit.
It's got to.
It's gonna go down.
Cume Bridge is already too low.
Yeah.
It already doesn't
Now, we-
do it, it's already
could-
falling
You
behind.
could raise the percentage.
Right.
But that decreases your general fund.
Yes, but it comes off of our max levy, so it,
it comes from somewhere.
it's,
It's a puzzle.
It is.
okay.
Any
So-
chance they come back and just say, forget it?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be tweaked.
Oh.
I think
They'll have
there'll
to.
be some tweaks between now and then. Now, what those tweaks are, I don't know. Will they be better or worse? I don't know. But I do think there'll be some tweaks between now and 2027 when we make that decision. But, because I think they're seeing some of the numbers. And like, you know, also, you know, they understand now, I think they've heard enough of us talk about like the annual decision. That's for bonding. you know, we can't bond from local income tax, because no bond purchaser is going to take the risk that some future council may not decide to adopt the list next year.
Yeah.
So things like that, I think there'll be tweaks with percentages. Like I said, looking at some of the numbers, I don't think some communities are gonna get collect as much as what they do now. There's gonna be some tweaks there, I think.
So what's our best way to kind of project maybe some possibilities of what we will have in like 27?
Because it's really parcel by parcel, because it's really gonna depend upon if you're a homestead, if you're agriculture, or if you're an apartment, where you live, whether you're in Clinton because you're already at the cap, or whether you're in the township where the tax rates are low. It's going to be based upon your assessment and your caps. That's how you're going to determine. So it's really the parcel by parcel analysis to determine how much additional circuit breaker losses we think we're going to lose, if any, in 2027, 28, and 29. That way you can budget, okay, we think our revenue's going to grow by 4%, but are we going to lose 7%?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's how we're recommending our clients prepare. Because you really need to do that now, I think, because as you're talking about your budget, and let's say you're wanting to give a raise. Well, you might be able to fund it this year in 2026 and 2027, but if you start losing, and I'm just making 12% of your revenue because Senate Bill 1, you may not be able to support that raise.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're suggesting, clients kind of do, is do that calculation, see what we think the impacts might be. And we really aren't going to know what the impacts are going to be because of, as you know, assessments go up every year. Hopefully the assessments go up because of trending, because the economy doing well helps offset some of these reductions. But if they don't, then we could potentially see.
I mean, we've taken some big jumps in the last few years. How many years does that really
Right.
actually happen in a row at this point?
And then I know your county is a little unique because you have your own issues with some tax base
That might be an understatement.
and large taxpayers.
Yeah.
We talked about that for years, how that could potentially significantly cripple you guys if you lose,
Go away.
a tax base. How that would raise rates and increase circuit breakers. I know we've talked about that as well. But that's something, if you want us to do, we're happy to help with as you're going through this budget cycle.
Could you tell me that, Jason? Are you doing that?
Mhm.
Rigo County? Okay.
How long does it take to get some of those estimates done?
We're almost done testing, because like I said, it's even looking at every parcel in the county. We're hoping to be able to have it done by August. So we'll be able to have and we can come up with some rough numbers right now. And LSA has some numbers that the legislators use. But we're hoping by August, middle of August, end of August, to have our own analysis where we can do parcel by parcel. And also do sensitivity, like we can show where, okay, what if your assessment grows 3% per year or 5% per year? To kind of give you a range to help you even
Kind of get an idea of numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't imagine the hours you've spent trying to figure all this out.
Well, I told someone that we don't need a marketing department anymore with the legislators. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Indiana kind of takes the approach of go more toward income tax, whereas say some states try not to use income taxes or place the burden. I mean, is it to reduce the burden on the property owners? Was that the goal,
Yes.
essentially?
Yeah. Yes. Now, in certain states, all states, the combination, the revenues made up of different. I think before, you guys probably heard Larry DeVore at some of the county conferences, and he's talked about income taxes, and it's pretty, kind of a good, decent mix. Some states have like more user fees, and that was discussed about going to more user fees. My fear about that, it's even more volatile than income taxes. I mean, that's one thing that we're talking to our clients, about as you're looking at your budget, balances, having healthy balances. Property taxes are pretty stable. Whether the economy is good or not, you still have to owe your property taxes. The AVs can go up and down. But with local income taxes, that's more volatile. So I think that's where, as you're looking at your budget, you might wanna look at your balances and make sure that they can sustain a downturn in the economy. Because if you remember, like in 2008, it doesn't take long to see the impact, but it takes a couple of years to recover. So.
Was there anything that affects the highway department since they have kind of their own funding ratios, like?
For the MBH fund, I'm sorry.
Didn't they increase the gas tax? I thought they
That
tied it
I'm
to
not for
something.
sure.
Okay, I thought they tied the gas tax.
I didn't know if we were expecting changes there at all,
Highway gets almost all its funding from gas tax.
Yeah.
so they didn't.
So I thought I saw that they had done something to tweak the gas tax. They did make some changes to community crossings, I believe. They
Yes.
lowered the threshold.
Mhm.
The
match
percentage,
threshold.
the match.
Yeah.
You do have to have a wheel tax though, I think, or something.
If
like
you
that.
want to get it, there's an extra, they lowered the pot, but they created a new smaller pot, and in order to qualify for the smaller pot, you have to have a wheel tax in place.
One better. Didn't have to be a certain
But I
percentage.
guess for us, since half of our edit does go to highway,
Right now, oh, that's
Directly,
true, and
yeah.
and a portion of certified shares is going this year, is what we found, that our gas tax money's not enough to operate. You can do a property tax levy for MPH, but,
Did you guys opt into the new health fund, the state health fund?
yeah, that's getting cut too.
Yeah, I would say that, I don't know if you've looked at the 2026 estimates, but
So
It's not pretty.
it's no.
Nope.
with wheel tax, a person could pay a county wheel tax and then have to pay a local municipal wheel
Yeah.
tax. So say 2 on the vehicle, there's gonna be some upset people about that.
we don't.
Guarantee that.
We don't care.
So Jason, did the state
Still lower
legislature,
than Illinois.
did they look at any particular state? They kind of modeled this after?
I can't speak to.
Okay.
He just recreated the wheel, I think.
They just put it up in the air and see what's stuck.
A lot of time they do.
Yeah.
Take the tax.
Just curious.
This is it's a nightmare.
We also can say,
Yeah, but if you don't want to do that, you gotta make it up.
I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
also
for the
putting it on you
information.
guys to decide.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Yeah,
your
we don't have
time
to
and-
do all that.
Well, it's
It was
gonna be a
very
learning
helpful.
process
We
for,
could just
for all of
discuss
us as we muddle through this and
He's the one who said that.
work through it.
I'm sure we'll come up with some more questions, but
Yeah, that's what we're here for, and anytime you want to get a hold of us.
anybody else? No? Thank you so much.
Thank you very
The
much.
wheel tax, if you have like multiple wheel taxes, that's gonna be interesting to B&B. Because they have problems now distributing the tax money, like to Fairview, for example.
Okay,
Money in the budget and how I'm doing.
all right, we do have one more item on new business. We have a budget consulting agreement between the county and Cox, Werner, Gamble, and Sullivan. The commissioners have approved it, and so, I guess we don't really need to approve it, do we? Don't they
Yes,
approve
I've
it?
always done it with you guys.
Okay.
There's a new law that passed a couple of years ago
Yeah,
that
you can
requires
sign
any
it.
council
I know.
contract to be also approved by the commission.
Yeah, okay, so we'll go ahead and.
I did it
approve
with you guys because that's who the guy who did it before me did it.
Okay, so commissioners have approved it, and if we approve it as well, which we did approve the budget line for it, so.
I make a motion to approve the budget agreement for Cox, Warner, Gamble, and Sullivan.
Okay, I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, a second from Mr. Somerville to approve the budgeting consulting agreement. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Okay, agreement is approved.
All right, get busy, Scott.
Good luck.
Already started.
Already started.
Where's your name on it?
Well, that is all that is on our new business, so we are at public comment. Is there any public comment this evening?
Just on, before we do that, is there anything we need to do with these?
No, those
No.
are just informational
Okay.
information from me. So, any public comment this evening? Besides wow? But,
What would you like the tax rate to be?
all right, anybody else have anything?
Yes. There was a meeting for, help me out, what was the meeting the other day, John, that we just had? Mitigation. Yeah, please fill that information out and submit that back. Hazard mitigation.
Okay.
And there's another meeting, July 24th. I think it's really important for the council members to be there. If you can make it. It's gonna be in Clinton.
What time?
6?
So 6 o'clock at July 24th is the second mitigation meeting for the county, if anybody from the council can make it.
It's important.
Where will it be held, I guess?
The community center.
Community center.
In Clinton. The new Jack Gilroy Community Center. June.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, it'd be official tomorrow. Okay. Well, by the 24th, it'll be official. Okay, anything else?
Mr. Mayor, have any comments?
You guys all need to start smoking so we get that cigarette.
It's possible, it's possible.
Alcohol too.
Drinking maybe.
That's what made it.
How much do they put on alcohol?
They raised cigarette tax.
It was like $2 a pack, wasn't it?
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I know, I mean, I noticed.
Motion made.
A second?
I'll second.
All right.
Schools.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
$8.